Part 43. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 421. The 9 Immortals were successfully reincarnated and returned to the position of ancient gods, but in such a hurry, the rules of heaven and earth were taken away. Zhang Zizai felt a million reluctances in his heart to no avail. After she left, there was an empty space in front of her. He knew that only if he became a god could he reunite with her. This road would be very difficult, but he now had great faith. Before this, he felt that there was no point in practicing. After today, he knew better than anyone else the benefits of being strong. First, the right to speak and the opportunity to control one's own destiny. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Second, become a god and reunite with her. Especially the second one, that will be his strongest belief support in the future. Because she must be waiting hard for herself. He didn't even have time to taste the sadness of parting. The earth-shattering crying in the white cocoon was enough to distract him. Am I a father? He was only 17 years old. Even in the Yanlong dynasty, this age was considered early to become a father, so even at this time, he felt a little trembling in his heart. In the words of Juxian, he is still a child and has to take care of another child. For Zhang Zizai, everything is a dream. The child's cry was so loud that it could suppress the breathing of tens of thousands of people. Zhang Zizai had to burst out with his fatherly nature and quickly ran to the side of the white cocoon. At this time, the white cocoon was dissipating and turning into a light white dress, including a little life. When Zhang Zizai saw that little life, his first emotion was, it's really so small. Maybe it's because it only developed for 6 months in the mother's belly. It may only weigh about 3 or 4 kilograms, but there is an amazing vitality in such a small body. Now this little creature was crying with all its clenched fists. The tragic cry simply broke Zhang Zizai's heart. He quickly picked up the little thing. Unexpectedly, after coming into his arms, he cried even more violently, which made Zhang Zizai feel dizzy. He took a closer look and saw that this child was young and handsome. He inherited his bloodline and that of the 9 Immortals. He would be either a handsome boy or a beauty in the future. He opened the clothes turned into white cocoons and looked at them, and suddenly couldn't help laughing. She is indeed a girl. He does like little girls. But why are you crying so violently? Zhang Zizai had an ominous premonition. He felt that this girl might be a demon king in the future. Just look at her passionate crying. The entire Sky Island is echoing with her cries. Suddenly he remembered what the 9 Immortals said about the reincarnation disaster when he left. He quickly opened the clothes on his chest again. He found no divine curse on the baby's chest, but there was a small white bell hanging there. Maybe it was the 9 Immortals' stayed bell. Zhang Zizai picked up the bell, took a look at it, and found out to his surprise, when he picked up the bell, a divine curse actually appeared on the baby's chest. Although it is very small, it is a skull, exactly like the 9 Immortals. Zhang Zizai remembered everything she said. This divine curse is a reincarnation calamity that has been transferred to the child. She said that it has been suppressed. It should be suppressed with this white bell. As long as the bell is there, she will be fine. But if it is not solved for a long time, the child she will die, so we must go to the dragon sacrifice domain to find her. This fact can only further stimulate Zhang Zizai's boundless fighting spirit. Now even for this daughter, he has to work extremely hard and fight to become a god. The pressure is a bit high, and all missions are born and inherited by him. However, since I am her father, I should be responsible for it. As a family of 3, it depends on you whether you can reunite in the future. It's a lot of pressure, but it's also happiness. The only headache is why I cry louder and louder. Zhang Zizai felt like he couldn't hold this little beast in his arms. He really didn't know where her tiny body got the strength. At this moment, Zhang Zizai saw the second thing that surprised him besides the reincarnation calamity. Totem. The little girl had just been born, and Zhang Zio suddenly saw a snow-white dragon totem between her eyebrows. That's very similar to Zhang Zizai's black dragon totem. Of course, there are no black petals on its mouth. Except for the different appearance, they are exactly the same as the black dragon totem. Zhang Zizai once saw that magnificent scene on the Pillar of Origin. The black dragon was originally a white dragon, but it became a black dragon after the black petals. And now, the totem between the child's eyebrows is the holy, bright little white dragon. Awakening the totem at birth? Are these the descendants of the ancient gods? It is said that the totems of all living beings are given by ancient gods. Could it be that this totem was given by the 9 immortals? But why did he completely inherit his own totem? Zhang Zizai didn't understand God, so he couldn't figure it out. However, these are not the key. The key is that this little girl will be extraordinary from now on. Girls, reincarnation, white dragon totem. Zhang Zizai couldn't think of anything, he was so dizzy from crying. Looking up, the powerful men of Shenzhen were all looking at him. They look very evil. The 4 palace masters are still recovering from their injuries, and the first god Xuanhuan is sitting cross-legged on the ground, probably struggling to remove the curse on his face. One word Cao and one word Lang are too conspicuous. Now countless priests, divine servants, and holy divine servants surrounded Zhang Zizai. Because it seemed that the 9 immortals had left. Among the holy divine servants, Xiankang, Lin Mu, and Shi Jian took the first step and surrounded Zhang Zizai. "Don't touch him," Xianyan Chu Shen suddenly scolded. When Xiankang and the others approached Zhang Zizai, the curse on her face shone brighter, and it was obvious that she was in more pain. How could the 9 immortals let them touch Zhang Zizai? His curse was not just as simple as death. Even if Zhang Zizai was slightly injured, there would be more terrible injuries, which would be transferred to Xianyan Chu Shen. Let Xianyan Chu Shen scold, Shi Jian and the others were stunned. Everything today broke the limit of their imagination. Zhang Zizai looked around, he took a step forward, and suddenly tens of thousands of people took a step back, people and horses fell. It seems that they are all afraid of themselves. He sneered and said word by word, "What should have happened today has already happened. My fate with the divine sect has been completely severed. I hereby announce today that from now on, I, Zhang Zizai, will have nothing to do with the divine section. Whoever wants to be the son of the ancient gods can do so." This result was expected by everyone. He wanted to say something harsh, but just as he was about to open his mouth, the girl in his arms started crying again, suppressing his voice. Zhang Zizai was a little embarrassed. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 422. Be good. He had no experience, so he could only try his best to comfort her, but she cried even louder, and many disciples could only cover their ears in pain. Zhang Zizai really had no choice but to feed her milk quickly, but the key was where to get it. Chu Shen, today's grudge, I, Zhang Zizai, will settle with you slowly in the future. Such a deep hatred today cannot be resolved by Juxian torturing her. If Zhang Zizai had not escaped from their death, her end would have been extremely miserable. How could such hatred be forgotten? However, he could only leave quickly now. After all, his daughter cried too cruelly. He stepped back, and his sight swept over everyone today. Xuanhuan Chu Shen, Beast God Palace Master, Sword God Palace Master, Sikong Jin, Shi Jian, Xiankang, Lin Mu, Yaishan, Tianyi, Ziu Hong, etc. These people all wanted Zhang Zizai to die, but unfortunately they were disappointed. Those who wanted to keep him, Feng Xiaoyao, Feng Xiaoxiao, Jun Jiansheng, Hualei and others, can only hesitate to speak now, because they can't change all this. Zhang Zizai, it is impossible for him to be a member of the divine sect anymore. Divine sect, a place where he grew up desperately, Zhang Zizhe really remembers this place. Beast God Tower, Ancient God Sun. He still misses the starlight on the top floor of the Beast God Tower, but unfortunately, from now on, no one can be so presumptuous with him there. That place is no longer his territory. Most people hate him with gnashing teeth, and until today, they still live in the lies of the divine curse. Zhang Zizhe caused such a huge blow to the divine sect this time, and even the Lord of the Heavenly God Palace died. They must wish they were dead. However, Zhang Zizhe is not worried about them. Xuanhuan Chushan will be more nervous than anyone else and restrain their behavior. From then on, Xuanhuan Chushan will not only not be able to touch Zhang Zizhe, but also need to protect them. I can only say that Juxian's curse is really wonderful. Besides, how can Xuanhuan Chushan know whether Juxian will come back at any time? How can she know whether Juxian has other arrangements? Therefore, she dare not touch Zhang Zizhe at all. She closed her eyes. Under Juxian's humiliation, she must have had infinite struggles in her heart. However, this is purely retribution. Shenzong. Zhang Zizhe glanced over. He thought he would stay here for life, but he didn't expect that in less than 2 years, he would have to break off all ties with this place. People's fiery eyes burned on him. There was already a huge gap between the two, and it would never be possible to cross it again. Shenzong without Juxian is not Shenzong. At this moment, Zhang Zizhe turned around and left without looking back. After all, if he didn't leave, he estimated that his daughter's voice would be hoarse from crying. Zhang Zizhe finally disappeared in the darkness. Many people in Shenzong looked at him blankly as he left, and finally sat on the ground, looking pale as if he had a serious illness. They looked at Xuanhuan Chushan, wanting to hear her arrangements. Xuanhuan Chushan stood up and said only 2 words, "Disperse." She turned and walked away, and after a few steps, she turned back and said, "From today on, no one is allowed to move Zhang Zizhe privately, otherwise, he will be expelled from the divine section." People were silent. Xian Kang, Lin Mu, Shi Jian, and others hated it. It seemed that they would never be able to control Zhang Zizhe in the future. They didn't dare to do it. After all, when Zhang Zizhe turned into a dragon, he even killed the Lord of the Heavenly God Palace. Who knows what kind of monster he is and whether he will turn into a dragon again. In any case, what happened in the divine sect today will definitely spread, and it will definitely cause turmoil in the entire origin continent that has not been seen for 1,000 years. However, I am afraid that not many people will know the real truth. If the divine sect spreads it, how can Zhang Zizhe be beautified? He will only be vilified. It doesn't matter. Now his headache is the struggling girl in his arms. "Hey, I'm not your father, can you give me some face and stop crying?" Zhang Zizhe said hurriedly. Wow, as a result, the guy's crying could even rise to a higher level. Zhang Zizhe was depressed. Why was the baby so difficult to take care of? "Your mother is really smart, she left it to me and went away." He wanted to cry but had no tears. "Hurry up and take this girl with you, Ling Qingtian and the others are waiting for him at the gate of origin." Feng Xiaoao communicated with him by pigeon at any time, and they already knew all the changes. Of course, they didn't quite understand the reincarnation of the gods. "Zhang Zizhe, come here quickly." Ling Qingtian waved his hand. Zhang Zizhe hurried over and stepped on Bai Yuepan. In order to avoid more trouble, Ling Qingtian directly drove Bai Yuepan and flew. "You take me away, aren't you afraid of danger?" Zhang Zizhe asked hurriedly. "He is now the enemy of the God sect." Ling Qingtian said, "It's okay. First, no one saw it. Second, I think the sect master won't care about such trivial matters today. I'll escort you back to the Yanlong dynasty first. After all, I was going there anyway." Indeed, Such a big thing happened, and he, a small divine servant, was indeed just a trivial matter. While they were talking, the little thing was still crying wildly. Hurry up and land, go down and find her milk. Although Ling Qingtian had no children, he was older after all. So cute. Call her aunt. Ruo Xiaoyu and the others had already come up, staring at the little thing, and kept sighing. Although it is not clear what happened, it is safe now. Zhang Zizai will tell them slowly. They are not in a hurry. They are interested in this little girl now. Bai Yuepan went down quickly. There was no town below, only an endless forest. It seemed that it would not be easy to find milk. Zhang Zizai during the landing process, someone shouted behind him. Another Bai Yuepan flew down, with Feng Xiaoao and Feng Xiaoxiao sitting on it. Why are you here? Ling Qingtian asked. It's a mess up there. Why don't we come to see them off? Feng Xiaoao jumped over with Feng Xiaoxiao. After coming over, I found that I couldn't speak at all. The crying of this little girl was about to cover everything. Feng Xiaoxiao came up to take a look, but the little thing turned his eyes and stretched out his hand to her. You want me to hold you? Feng Xiaoxiao was stunned for a moment. She subconsciously stretched out her hand, and the little girl really struggled to move towards her. Zhang Zizai was stunned for a moment, but fortunately his daughter stopped crying, so he gave her to Feng Xiaoxiao. Then, something amazing happened. As soon as he held her, her little head went into his chest, which scared Feng Xiaoxiao and made her scream. I don't have milk. Her face flushed, and she quickly returned her daughter to Zhang Zizai. This little thing must have been scratching her chest just now. The desire to survive is really strong. Everyone laughed. This little guy has a future. Feng Xiaoao, the father, was still laughing, which made Feng Xiaoxiao blush and wanted to push him off. PS1, I wish you all a happy May Day. I, the kind-hearted madman, have prepared more than 10 chapters of updates at 12 o'clock tonight. Remember to read them as soon as possible. Of course, as usual, there are 2 chapters today, and the updates tonight belong to tomorrow. There will be no more updates during the day tomorrow. PS2, I saw a few readers said that they don't want the protagonist to have a baby so early, but this little girl is not here to make soy sauce. She has a lot of interesting things, which will be discovered by everyone soon. She even has a certain relationship with the protagonist's totem in previous books. The protagonist has many pets, such as a kitten with dragon blood. This is actually a brother mode. Madman thought that the plot must be innovative to be fun, so why can't it be a daughter? Well, a daughter who tries hard to help her father pick up girls. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 423. Finally, they landed in a forest. Ling Qingtian said, I'm afraid we won't be able to find anyone within an hour. This area is a barren land with only source beasts running rampant. This girl has such a good physique and is so anxious. Let's try to find a lactating source beast. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow Method GWU. This is the only way. I'll go, wait for me here. Feng Xiaoao was fast and had a high realm. He almost had a goal and disappeared directly into the darkness. Brother, where did my sister-in-law go? Ruo Xiaoyu asked with concern. Zhang Zizai pointed to the sky and said, a place we can't reach in a short time. But I will find her later. She's fine. God's domain? So scary, she was so powerful today. Ruo Xiaoyu stuck out her tongue and was amazed. Zhang Zizai looked at them, shook his head and smiled, brothers, because of my matter, you can't stay in the divine section. Bai Shenjin hurriedly said, boss, don't be polite. Although I don't know what the special situation is, you have killed the Lord of the Heavenly God Palace. If I follow you in the future, I will have a good life. What's the point of the divine sect? Lu Dingxing said, not to mention me. They all support him unconditionally. Zhang Zizai smiled. Brother, what name should I give her? Ruo Xiaoyu asked. Zhang Zizai looked at the crying little girl helplessly and said, name, let's discuss it with her mother when we meet in the future. Let's give her a nickname first. What should I call her? She cries so loudly, so let's call her Loud Voice. Brother, are you crazy? I strongly want to chop you. Ruo Xiaoyu was stunned. How can you name someone like this? Zhang Zizai smiled. In fact, now that he has survived the disaster, except for the sadness of parting, he is in a very good mood. After all, it is also a happy birth of a daughter. He thought for a moment, and suddenly saw the white bell on her chest, which shook and made a crisp sound. Nickname, called Bell. Zhang Zizai said very confidently. Bell? Very good, Bell, come and see your aunt, don't cry. This nickname is quite suitable for this little girl. Just when she was crying and almost turned upside down, Feng Xiaoyao finally came back. He left, and the source beasts he found were all in the lactation period, a 4th grade source beast demon pattern tiger, and a 5th grade source beast Kunfen ape. The source beasts he found had to be about the same size as humans, otherwise they couldn't hold it in their mouths. Let's try Kunfen ape first. Feng Xiaoyao personally held the Kunfen ape down, making it unable to move, and then Zhang Zizai held the little thing over. When he smelled the milk fragrance, it was really amazing. He held it in his mouth and sucked it crazily, and the Kunfen ape could only howl. However, the little thing finally stopped crying. Zhang Zizai finally breathed a sigh of relief. His forehead was full of sweat. He felt that his life would be in chaos from now on. Originally, he thought that one Kunfen ape would be enough, but he didn't expect that she sucked it clean so quickly, so he had to let the Kunfen ape go and let the magic tiger take over. Amazing, drinking the milk of all beasts. What kind of monster will this little girl grow up to be? Feng Xiaoyao said. Don't talk nonsense, okay. I'm cute, Feng Xiaoxiao said. Before she finished speaking, the magic tiger cried out in pain, obviously because she ate too hastily. I'd better go find it again. Feng Xiaoyao knew from the energy of Lingdang that the magic tiger couldn't satisfy her. That night, Feng Xiaoyao was running around looking for the source beasts in the lactation period. Finally, after sucking away the 23rd source beast, Lingdang was finally satisfied and fell asleep. I really didn't expect that her small body could hold nearly a ton of milk. I have a feeling that this little girl is a pervert, Feng Xiaoyao said. In fact, everyone was amazed. After all, they had never heard of such a crazy breastfeeding. However, after everyone got to know each other, they couldn't help but laugh at Zhang Ziyi. Let's see how you feed your girl in the future. Zhang Ziyi couldn't help laughing. He sighed that she was still cute when she was asleep. Now she was nestled in his arms, motionless. She was so beautiful when she was just born. She must be as beautiful as Juxian in the future. Zhang Ziyi held her carefully, fearing that she would wake up. As a result, he found that no matter how he shook her, she would not wake up. When she woke up, she was also so individual. They were about to get on Baiyuepan and return to Dajiangqing City first. Zhang Ziyi left Shenzong and had nowhere to go, so he naturally went back to Dajiangqing City first. At this time, the bell actually changed. Suddenly, a crystal clear white light emerged from her body, and then her shape began to change. In Zhang Zizai's hands, she actually grew snow-white dragon scales in a very short time, and her body changed from a white and tender baby to a snow-white little dragon. Her body was only as thick as Zhang Zizai's arm, but it was also bigger than the previous baby state. Dragon. Totem beast. Feng Xiaoyao was stunned. Everyone stood there, watching the little white dragon take shape. At last, she opened her eyes, looked at everyone shyly for a while, and suddenly broke away from Zhang Zizai's arms, surrounded everyone, and flew happily. Oh my god! The bell has turned into a dragon and can fly. Ruo Xiaoyu's eyes were full of stars. Wow! Oh my god! Feng Xiaoyao and Ling Qingtian were wiping their eyes. They had lived for so many years and had never seen such a strange thing. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Is this a source beast or something? Isn't this your child? What on earth is this? Feng Xiaoyao was stunned. The little white dragon was flying happily, occasionally hitting a big tree, and directly knocking the big tree down. At the moment of hitting the tree, Zhang Zizai's heart tightened, and he felt a little distressed. After all, it was his daughter. Then, something even more magical happened. She could teleport. She was originally in front of Zhang Zizai, but suddenly, she appeared behind Zhang Zizai. She seemed to have discovered her new ability for the first time, so she was very excited. Then she flashed wildly. In a few breaths, she teleported once, and the range was about 30 feet. What kind of method is this? It was simply unbelievable. I have never heard of someone being able to move to another place instantly like this. This is simply the most elusive method in the world. When everyone was amazed, she flew to Zhang Zizai's side, and actually coiled around Zhang Zizai's arm, then flashed her big eyes and looked at Zhang Zizai curiously. Whoosh! Something even more amazing happened. Zhang Zizai only felt a flash in front of his eyes, and he actually appeared 30 feet away. He was taken and moved instantly. It's amazing. Whoosh! Once again, he actually returned to the original place. Whoosh! He appeared 30 feet high in the sky. Then, the little white dragon flew away. Zhang Zizai was stunned for a moment, fell straight down, and fell flat on his face. He was actually fooled by such a young girl, and everyone laughed. But the key is that this little white dragon can actually take himself to teleport. What is this concept? Can others do it? Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 424. As soon as Zhang Zizai got up, he saw that the little white dragon was having fun and had already wrapped around Ruo Xiaoyu's arm. After all, this ant had been talking to her. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Then, only the little white dragon teleported out, and Ruo Xiaoyu stayed where she was. Everyone understood that maybe the bell could only teleport with Zhang Zizai. The little white dragon was still unwilling. Everyone tried once, but in the end, they could only take Zhang Zizai away. It seems that the blood connection between them determines everything. This is interesting. Bell can actually increase your combat power. Ling Qingtian's face was full of disbelief. Their family is really weird. At this time, the little white dragon may have been tired of playing, and fell on Zhang Zizai's arm, turning into a baby. The white cocoon turned into clothes and wrapped her again, and she continued to sleep soundly. What is going on? What is she? Zhang Zizai asked. As a result, Feng Xiaoyao and Ling Qingtian both shook their heads like rattles. How do I know what kind of monsters you two monsters gave birth to? Feng Xiaoyao complained. Source beast? Definitely not. Totem beast? That can only be transformed when you become a god. However, Zhang Zizai has also transformed once. His daughter is amazing. She has a totem when she was born, and now she can turn into a dragon. Obviously, she is not an ordinary source beast. Totem beast and source beast are not the same concept. In fact, if she can really transform freely from totem beast and human form, she is a bit like God. Legend has it that ancient gods are like this. However, this little girl has not yet begun to open the martial life realm. How can she be a god? She has no other skills except teleportation and a little more strength. Although he didn't know why, Zhang Zizai knew that the strange situation of Lingdang now had something to do with his own black dragon totem from the god box, the special identity of the reincarnated ancient god of the 9 immortals, and even the lives of the 3 people in the totem formation at that time. However, he didn't need to think too much, just watch Lingling grow in the future. They got on Baiyuepan and started the journey back to the great Zhongqing city. After being away for nearly 2 years, Zhang Zizai was a little homesick. So cute along the way, the men were still quite reserved. Feng Xiaoxiao and Ruo Xiaoyu kept surrounding Zhang Zizai, staring at Lingling. "Let you hug her," Zhang Zizai said. Feng Xiaoxiao quickly shrank back, blushing and saying, "I don't want it." "Don't worry, you have a flat chest, my daughter doesn't like it," Zhang Zizai said. To be honest, he has now thought very clearly about the matter of Juxian. It's just a separation for a while, there's nothing to worry about. So, now that the clouds have cleared and the moon is bright, he is in a very good mood. His unruly nature gradually awakened. As soon as Zhang Zizai finished speaking, Feng Xiaoao knocked on his head and said, "Bullshit, my daughter can't see your daughter." Everyone laughed. After laughing, Zhang Zizai gave the bell to Feng Xiaoxiao and the others to play with. He sat with Feng Xiaoao and Ling Qingtian and seriously discussed the future. "What are your plans for the future?" Feng Xiaoao asked. Zhang Zizai had already told them the specific details of the divine sect at that time. They also knew that Xuanhuan Chushan had such a conspiracy and that Juxian was actually the reincarnation of the ancient gods. Zhang Zizai had asked about the evolution realm. Feng Xiaoao had heard that it was a place in the legend where the ancient gods stored the evolution sources. That world was full of evolution sources. If you can open that world, enter it, and draw out countless evolution sources, the strength of the entire divine sect can be infinitely improved. It is said that some evolution sources may even be wanted by many ancient gods. No wonder Xuanhuan Chushan was so crazy for this evolution realm. Zhang Zizai glanced at his palm, and the black key was still there. When asked about his future plans, Zhang Zizai said, "Let's go back to Dajiangqing city first." After all, Emperor Yanlong is still unwilling to give up Dajiang County. Feng Xiaoao said, "It's okay to go back and rest for a while. But you need to understand that if you stay in this remote place, even if you are a genius, the effect of your cultivation will be much worse than that of the divine section, especially in the first divine territory." Zhang Zizai knew this. If he continued to cultivate in Dajiang County, he would definitely lose a lot of advantages, and even let Yishan surpass him. Although he killed the Lord of the Heavenly God Palace, Zhang Zizai clearly knew that it might be the power of the black petals. Anyway, this power does not belong to him for the time being. It may change in extreme situations. This power must not be regarded as his own power, so he needs to adjust his mentality. On the road of cultivation, he is a junior. "I haven't thought of a place to go yet," Zhang Zizai said. "You can't hide your affairs in the divine section. A genius like you, since you have left the divine sect, everyone must want you. The only places in the origin continent that can compare with the divine sect are the Underworld Palace and the Holy Dragon Dynasty. If they come to you, will you join them?" Feng Xiaoao asked seriously. "I don't know them and I'm not very interested in them. After experiencing the affairs of the divine sect, I still prefer freedom," Zhang Zizai said. "It's right to love freedom, but if you can't match enough training resources, it will be a troublesome thing," Feng Xiaoao said. "That's right, so let's see who we like when the time comes. Anyway, the people from the Underworld Palace didn't like them very much last time I saw them." Zhang Zizai smiled. "So you prefer the Holy Dragon Dynasty?" "I have seen them, but I still don't like them." Zhang Zizai recalled the Dragon Guardian and the Holy Sun who took away Shen Xiao Ling Xian. "I don't care about you. Why do you want to go against the divine sect in the future?" Ling Qingtian asked. "After all, they belong to the divine sect. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. That's not the case. The hatred is limited to the first god, and the palace masters Zhang Zizai made a very clear distinction. He didn't need to vent his anger on others, although most people made him very unhappy that night. Take your time. Anyway, if you need help, tell me anytime. I didn't help with what happened that night, and I feel a little guilty, Feng Xiaoao said. Then give me your daughter and help me raise my daughter. How about being a second concubine? Zhang Zizai smiled wickedly. Go to your father, get out, Feng Xiaoao glared at him, wishing he could throw him away from Bai weapon. After having the bell, there was laughter all the way. Zhang Zizai has counted the pattern of Lingling. She will wake up every 2 hours. The moment she wakes up, she will cry loudly, so loud that the whole forest will be in chaos. When will she stop? The moment the milk is delivered to her mouth. It takes half an hour to feed each time, and the terrible thing is that the appetite is getting bigger and bigger. More and more people go out to find milk. It doesn't take too much time, but because of the monster Lingling, the time to travel has almost doubled. During sleep, she almost turns into a little white dragon once, which is considered as waking up. Every time she jumps up and down, when she finds that she can only teleport with Zhang Zizai, she always entangles him, making Zhang Zizai dizzy. She can tease her father at such a young age. What will happen in the future? Zhang Zizai has become a hands-off shopkeeper. As long as he falls asleep, he throws it to Feng Xiaoxiao and goes away. Finally, Lingling is about to be a full month old, and they have also entered the scope of Dajiang County. I'm back. Breathing the fresh air and the smell of my hometown can calm me down. Ling Qingtian suddenly received a pigeon when he was about to approach Dajiang King City. After reading the letter, he frowned slightly and said, "Don't go back to Dajiang King City for now. Go north to Daluan City. Your brother is there. The people of Yanlong Emperor are starting to cause trouble. The update is a little delayed. It will be updated at 12:10. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 425. Daluan City is located in the northern part of Dajian County and is the junction city between Dajian County and Qingluan County. Daluan City crosses the Luanjiang River to the north, which is the scope of Qingluan County. Now that Dajiang County is free from the rule of Yanlong Dynasty, south of Luanjiang River is the territory of the New Zealand King Zhang Junjian. What exactly happened in Daluan City? Generally speaking, Zhang Junjian will definitely stay in Dajiang City to govern, and will not go to the border of Daluan City specifically. You have discovered a Kiluan gold mine near Daluan City. It is said that it can produce more than 30 tons of third-grade spiritual mineral Kiluan gold, Ling Qingtian said after reading the letter. This is a very important asset. If you have a totem spiritual master, you can create a lot of totem weapons suitable for use in the mysterious vein realm. More than 30 tons, maybe thousands, will be fine, Zhang Zizai said. However, the news has been leaked. Now Yanlong Emperor's people have arrived and are causing trouble. After all, there is a small part of the mineral vein in Qingluan County, Ling Qingtian said. Who? Nangongke. It's this guy again, he's really haunting, Zhang Zizai sneered. When he first got the totem at the age of 15, it was Nangongke who came to Zhongwang City to show off his power, put Princess Ruohua in jail, and planned Zhang Yanning's marriage to Zhang Zhengzi. When he arrived at Yanlong ruins, he continued to make trouble. Unexpectedly, he was still the Yanlong Emperor's doglegger, and he would do anything. However, it has to be said that he is indeed the number one strong man in the Yanlong dynasty, the top figure in the Tianpeng clan, and the top general of Zhengzi in the dynasty. The position is still above general. The Yanlong Emperor has a bad reputation among the people because of what happened at Huangtian Pass, and he no longer has much say. Many clans have shrunk, and there are not many people who can serve him. Nangongke is one of them, so he has been promoted to Marshal Huangwu. So that's it, the dogleg has been upgraded. Zhang Zizai and his group directly changed their itinerary. They were already almost reaching Dajiangqing City and headed north. Of course, at bioweapons speed, they could reach Daliuan City in 2 hours. My brother and the others are over there. They are all here. We originally wanted to mine it quickly, but the news leaked out. Now that we have just dug the spiritual mine, Marshal Huangwu has already arrived with his Huangwu army. Ling Qingtian smiled hoarsely. In the middle, Bell woke up once and cried so hard that the sky was dark and the earth was dark. Fortunately, he passed by a dairy farm. Finally, Daliuan City is close at hand. Zhang Zizai looked at his daughter and couldn't help but feel a headache. He asked Feng Xiaoxiao, "How about I give it to you? I can't let her lack maternal love since she was a child. Are there any fathers like you? You want to give him away after only a few days?" Feng Xiaoxiao really wanted to beat him. Zhang Junjian and the others definitely didn't know about their return. Zhang Zizai was preparing to give them a surprise. The Qiluan gold mine is located next to the Luanjiang River, 30 miles north of Daliuan City. Generally, spiritual mines are located in mountains, but it is very rare to find them next to rivers. When he got closer, Zhang Zizai discovered that there were many tents of the Qiluan army, with thousands of people stationed here. Looking from a high altitude, he could see that a large hole had been dug in the ground in the center of their army. The Qiluan army was neatly dressed in purple armor. This was the time to fight. Opposite them, many totem warriors wearing yellow armor were gathering. Their number was more than double that of the Qiluan army. Zhang Zizai, when they arrived, Huang Liujun had already suppressed them. In addition to Huang Liujun, there were also some people in green clothes, about 300 people. Zhang Zizai knew them. These people were from the Qingluan clan in Qingluan County and were members of King Qingluan. There might be some relatives and friends of Dongyang among them. Bioweapon landed, but Zhang Zizai did not go up directly. They stood on a low mountain and looked at the valley in front of them. The two sides were facing each other tit for tat. On the Qiluan army side, Zhang Junjian sat on Zhang Zizai's ghostly fire shadow, handsome and domineering, with quite an imperial demeanor. "Your brother's talent is really good. When you left, he was at the 4th level of the Holy Body Realm. Now he is at the 8th level of the Holy Body Realm. Soon, he will enter the Divine Seal Realm without any problem," Ling Qingtian said. "It's not like I'm overtaking him," Zhang Zizai smiled. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw a man walking out from the mighty Huang Liujun opposite. It was the one-armed Nangongke. He didn't change much, he looked like an alcoholic, with stubble on his face and cold eyes. Feng Xiaoao used to be an alcoholic, but he was much more handsome and unrestrained than this man. Nangongke had a sneer on his face and said, "Zhang Junjian, be honest. Just forget it if you lead Dajiang County to treason. His Majesty will deal with you sooner or later. Now you still want to rob the dynasty's spiritual mines. Your Majesty has already given me instructions. Your Qiluan, if you don't withdraw within 3 days, I will have no choice but to drive you away. I said that the territory of Qingluan County is north of Luanjiang River. If Yanlong Emperor Longjin does not abdicate for a day, no taxes or minerals from Dajiang County will be transported to Yanlong ruins. If Lord Nangong wants to, if you start a war, you can continue and see how many people in the world can support you," Zhang Junjian said calmly. "In just 2 years, the Qiluan army has doubled in size. It seems that you, Zhang Junjian, are really going to commit treason. Now you even want to embezzle the spiritual mines belonging to Qingluan County. There is nothing I can do about the expansion of the Qiluan army. After all, the world is so big, and there are too many heroes who do not want to live under the rule of a tyrant. I naturally welcome them to join voluntarily, but there are very few doglegs like you, Nangongke. Little, Zhang Junjian said. I see you won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Do you think you can be lawless just by relying on 2 divine attendants? Let me tell you, Zhang Junjian, His Majesty has been putting up with you for a long time. Don't think that we will believe the rumors about your parents becoming gods. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. In recent years, the Yanlong Emperor has not moved away from Daejiang County. The first reason is because he has lost the support of the people, and the second reason is because of the rumors that Zhang Yunting has become a god. However, it has been too long now, and many people say that may not be true. Zhang Junjian insisted not to give up the Xuanhuan gold mine, which was their opportunity. Zhang Junjian, most of this spiritual mine is in the territory of our Qingluan County and belongs to our Qingluan County. I have dedicated it to your Majesty. You must not be obsessed with it anymore. Unexpectedly, King Qingluan was also there. This is Zhang Junjian's father-in-law. However, when he said this, Zhang Junjian ignored him. Because he had received a reply from the Holy Sun Divine Attendant, saying that he would be back soon. He just had to wait. Maybe 2 divine attendants are not enough to guard the Xuanhuan gold mine, but what about the 3? In fact, the key is not even the Xuanhuan gold mine, but Zhang Junjian's courage and determination. He cannot retreat on this matter, because once he retreats, the heroes in the world who resist the rule of Yanlong Emperor will also lose confidence in him. In the past 2 years, he has attracted a large number of experts based on his reputation. Emperor Yanlong must also want to severely defeat Zhang Junjian through this vague issue of the ownership of the spiritual mine. After all, everyone has their own reasons as to which side of the Xuanhuan gold mine is located. After all, the situation of the spiritual mines underground is more complicated, and the boundary between the 2 counties is also more complicated. Most of the spiritual mines are at the bottom of the Luanjiang River. It doesn't matter who it belongs to. Therefore, on this issue, Zhang Junjian could not retreat, and the other party grasped the point that he could not retreat, causing his reputation to plummet, and even used this as a reason to kill him. After Nangongke finished speaking, he raised his hand and said, "The traitor Zhang Junjian intends to steal the Imperial Spirit Mine. Come with me to capture this treacherous traitor." It seems that he is already taking action. Next to Zhang Junjian, Lu Yuan stood up, pointed at Nangongke, and said, "Grandson, let your grandpa come and meet you." Seeing that the 2 sides are about to fight together. At this moment, a young man in black appeared between the 2 parties. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 426. In the Yanlong dynasty, Zhang Zizai was a person who would be slowly forgotten. According to legend, he followed the Holy Sun Divine Attendant to a place stronger than the Temple of Sacrifice to practice, which was the headquarters of the Temple of Sacrifice. In the past few years, the Temple of Sacrifice began to announce the size of the origin continent to the people of the Yanlong dynasty. The people began to have a real understanding of the origin continent and knew that Yanlong was not the only dynasty. Know how big the world is. The headquarters of the Temple of Sacrifice is a place called Shenzong, which is the core of the origin continent. Zhang Zizai went to such a place to practice. People believed that this was one of the reasons why Emperor Yanlong was afraid of Daejiang County. However, more people believe that Zhang Zizai is still young after all and will only be a real threat to Yanlong Emperor at least 10 years later. He may not believe the rumors about Zhang Yunting becoming a god. He may not be afraid of Zhang Zizai's future potential. His only worry was always the chaotic public sentiment of the dynasty. Daejiang County has attracted more and more powerful people. Many powerful people among the people joined Daejiang King City. There were even members of his Yanlong royal family rebelling against him. In the dispute between the Yanlong royal family and the Kailan royal family, Zhang Junjian attracted the most attention. No one knew when the once magnificent Zhang Zizai would return. Therefore, when this young man in black swaggered to the center of the two sides before the confrontation, no one, not even the Kailan royal family, wanted to believe their eyes. Who is this little prince, Zhang Zizai? Of course the people from the Kailan army knew his appearance. It's just that compared to many years ago, Zhang Zizai's temperament and momentum have long been different. Zhang Zizai turned around, looked at each other with Zhang Junjian, Lu Yuan, and the others, and smiled slightly. Zhang Junjian was amused. He was about to come forward, but when Zhang Zizai made a gesture to tell him to stay away, he could only laugh. He knew that this younger brother had a lot of ideas. He actually came all the way back and wanted to put on a show, so let him show it off. Last time I heard from the divine attendant of the Holy Sun that Zhang Ziyu was very amazing in the Shen Zone. Now that it had not been long ago, he wanted to see how amazing this legendary super genius had become. Under his gesture, the happy Kailan army fell silent. Zhang Zizai, after seeing him, Nangong Ke and King Qingluan were startled. Why, we haven't seen each other for just a few years, and you still don't recognize your grandfather. Zhang Zizai clasped his hands behind his back and faced the thousands of golden Huanguijun. His momentum was overwhelming, but in fact it did not weaken at all. When Zhang Zizai chopped off his arm, it was a great shame and humiliation. It is still ridiculed today. Nangong Q's heart boiled with anger. He jumped off the horse and walked towards Zhang Zizai, saying, "If you don't practice in Shen Zone, come back now." After a little success, you feel that Yanlong is a place where you can show off your power and do whatever you want. The information here is too limited. Anyone with a little knowledge knows that Zhang Zizai is now the son of the ancient god, although he is no longer. You are right, I have indeed returned from cultivation and am ready to torture you and shock the whole audience. Zhang Zizai laughed. After he said this, tens of thousands of Huanguijun were stunned for a moment, and then they all started laughing. You made me laugh so hard. How old is he? Is he 18 years old? After practicing in Shen Zone for 2 or 3 years, do you really think you are a god? My brain has been damaged by cultivation. Our marshal has practiced 30 years longer than him. Originally, the atmosphere before the war was very serious, and everyone was full of energy. But now, despite Zhang Zizai's teasing, they were laughing so hard that they could not stand up straight as they hugged each other. Nangong Q's face turned cold as he asked, "You mean, you want to call me for a formation?" Since ancient times, the generals of both sides have the tradition of calling formations. If one of the generals dares to come out and challenge them first, and the other side is unable to retreat, the morale of the other side will first be weakened. That's right, I'm here to ask Generalissimo Nangong if he dares to go out and fight, Zhang Zizai suddenly shouted loudly, with explosive momentum. Jun Jian. Lu Yuan was a little confused and said, "Isn't Zizi a bit exaggerated? After all, Nangong Ke is a generation older than you, so it would be more appropriate for me to deal with him." "Uncle Lu, don't worry. It's okay to let him play for a while. Besides, he must have come back with the Holy Sun God Attendant. With the Holy Sun God Attendant here, we have no worries in this fight. This little guy has been timid since he was a child," Lu Yuan sighed. He looked around, naturally wanting to see if his son was back. At this time, under Zhang Zizai's calling formation, Nangong Ke certainly would not let go of this golden opportunity. He immediately responded, "In this case, I will teach you a daring person first, and then I will understand your brother's clever trick, teach you brothers how to respect your elders and how to serve the country with loyalty. Marshal Nangong." "Marshal! Marshal!" At this time, tens of thousands of Huanguijun shouted with overwhelming momentum. Hundreds of war drums beat, and the majestic drums spread throughout the world. Even Diluan City, which was 30 years away, could hear clearly. This was obviously as the war started, the people in Diluan City were extremely uneasy. Blow the drum, Zhang Junjian shouted in a deep voice, and the war drums of the Kailan army also sounded, but perhaps because of his lack of confidence in Zhang Zizai, the sound of the drums was completely suppressed by the opponent. Nangang Ke sneered in his heart. He felt that such a good opportunity was presented to him, and this time he was going to make a contribution. Jiang's son, let's capture him without any hesitation. Thinking back then, he was powerless in front of me, but today he dared to challenge me. How audacious! The revenge of the broken arm, such humiliation, made him unable to sleep and eat. Today, his goal is Zhang Zizai's arms. 1 for 2, it's worth it. As the master of the Tianpeng clan, Nangang Q's current realm is the 5th level of the Divine Seal realm. Zhang Zizai has indeed never fought against such an opponent. He has only killed Lu Huai, who is in the 2nd level of the Divine Seal realm. At that time, he was in the 1st level of the Divine Seal realm. But now, he is already in the 3rd level of the Divine Seal realm. Universe level Totem, the 3rd level of the Divine Seal realm. Fighting against the Wild level Totem, the 5th level of the Divine Seal realm, Zhang Zizai is 2 levels ahead of the opponent in Totem level. Now in the entire Yanlong dynasty, only the Yanlong Emperor himself is a Hong level Totem. In terms of Totem level, Zhang Zizai has no opponent. Nangang Q's totem is called Golden Sword Tianpeng Totem. However, he did not show any totem ability at this moment, because in his opinion, Zhang Zizai could easily take him down, so he flew over easily, ready to strike. A golden sword energy gathered in his hand and stabbed Zhang Zizai's arm. Whoosh! The golden sword energy arrived in the blink of an eye. Ding! Zhang Zizai stretched out his hand and pinched the golden sword energy in his hand, smiled, and said, Nangang Ke, are you trying to tickle me with this attack? Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 427. In fact, the stronger the realm, the more you know how strong Nangang Q's golden sword energy is. However, when people saw Zhang Zizai casually grasping the golden sword energy in his hand and crushing it like a feather, they were instantly dumbfounded. This. They didn't react at all. Nangang Q's eyes were instantly cold. He understood a little that Zhang Zizai's current strength might really be stronger than Zhang Junjian. It is very likely that he is at the 9th level of the Holy Body realm, or even at the Divine Seal realm. He didn't have time to think about what this meant. Zhang Zizai had already started to attack. In this case, let me, as an elder, teach you how to be a man. He sneered, retreated a little, and then flew into the sky. He was the golden sword Sky Peng Totem, so he could grow wings behind him. Those golden wings were very huge. When they flapped, there was a harsh sound of metal friction. After a closer look, it was discovered that every golden feather on his wings was actually a golden sword blade. The 2 wings are made up of thousands of golden blades. Ding ding ding. The piercing sound keeps ringing, which is an impact on anyone. It is easy for people to fall into irritation and reduce their combat effectiveness. However, Zhang Zizai just smiled coldly, comparing the ability of Totem with me. You are purely looking for death. Arrogant. The next moment, he was like a giant beast awakening, and the black gas swallowed the surroundings like a giant beast, completely covering Nangang Ke in it. Boom boom boom. The black gas turned into a dragon and entangled around. With Nangang Q's knowledge, he certainly didn't know what the effect of this swallowing field was in a short time. Until he found that any action of his consumed the power of the totem seal to 3 times, he probably knew what was terrible. But this is just the beginning. In the darkness, an eye appeared in Zhang Zizai's hand. It was the demon eye. In Zhang Zizai's hand, the demon eye turned into the domineering war halberd, which was held horizontally in Zhang Zizai's hand. Playing tricks, Nangongke was shocked, but he still believed that this was definitely a trick, a means of mystification, and it could be completely destroyed with absolute power. Golden Sword Rainstorm. He flew up, and the golden wings behind him frantically flapped, and thousands of golden sword blades suddenly swept over like a storm. This is indeed a bit like the feeling of Jun Jianzhen's 10,000 swords domain, especially his totem seal power is much stronger than Jun Jianzhen, so the lethality of this golden sword rainstorm is very strong. Zhang Zizai was about to dodge, but suddenly he felt something inexplicably pulled in his heart. He turned back and was stunned. His daughter ran over at some point and turned into a little white dragon. She was very fast and directly wrapped around Zhang Zizai's arm. At the moment when the golden sword rainstorm came up, she teleported Zhang Zizai to the back of Nangongke. Damn it! Zhang Zizai was stunned. Go back quickly, don't make trouble. Although she might be anxious and want to protect Zhang Zizai can't use her at all now. Lingling, come back quickly. Feng Xiaoxiao ran out quickly. When everyone saw it, they exclaimed immediately. They didn't expect that there would be such a beautiful woman in the world, so ethereal, just like a dream butterfly. She was holding Lingling just now, but she didn't expect that her 2 ears moved and heard that her father was in danger, and she went out immediately, which was touching. Lingling was hanging on Zhang Zizai's arm, looking at Nangongke fiercely. Facing Feng Xiaoxiao's call, she actually shook her head. I didn't expect that she could understand human words. Feng Xiaoxiao had no choice but to use the totem power of the dream of floating life, and went up to hypnotize her directly. Lingling turned into a baby and was taken away by her. This was a method she had just thought of recently. Except for her dream of floating life, no one could calm her down when Lingling was hungry. This little guy. He and Feng Xiaoxiao looked at each other, and they really didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You should be touched. You know to protect your father at such a young age. You will be awesome in the future, Feng Xiaoxiao said. What are you doing? Nangongke shouted angrily. What is that, a dragon? For a moment, everyone remembered the exclamation again. Feng Xiaoxiao hurriedly carried the person away. Zhang Zizai said, everyone is wrong, Nangongke. If it weren't for this episode, you would have been crippled by me. Bullshit. He was still depressed because his golden sword rainstorm was dodged inexplicably. The bell caused an interruption, but in order to make them pay less attention to her transformation into a dragon, Zhang Zizai took the initiative to attack this time, and the devouring field suppressed it again. The opponent's golden sword rainstorm came again. This time, Zhang Zizai performed Xiao, wandering in front of the opponent's eyes, constantly changing. Even if the golden sword rainstorm was dense, he was at ease in it. Nangongke only then saw how terrifying he was. A blue weapon appeared in his hand, named Tianpeng Giant Blade. After the golden sword rain, he used the battle tactics to suppress Zhang Zizai madly. Storm Sea Killing Path. A knife danced 100 feet of strong energy, covering the sky and the earth, and wanted to cut Zhang Zizai into pieces. This violent killing power made people exclaim again, especially the Kailan army, who naturally didn't know that Zhang Zizai was defeated and died. When people exclaimed, Zhang Zizai was very calm. He raised the magic eye war halberd and suddenly went up. Simple, direct, and rough. 3 styles of splitting dragon. Flying dragon tearing the sky. Tyrannosaurus splits the sea. Sky dragon breaks the void. 3 consecutive moves, penetrated, in the confrontation of absolute power, under the fatal soul shock of the magic eye, Zhang Zizai was unstoppable, and the opponent's Storm Jinhai killing Dao retreated step by step. In a very short time, Nangongque's fighting tactics were completely excavated, and his last arm was suddenly shattered in Zhang Zizai's Tianlong Paku. Bang! At the moment of the blood mist explosion, Nangongke flew out. Snap! He fell flat on his face, howling in pain, with a large area of blood under his body. Zhang Zizai landed gracefully, put away the magic eye, looked around at everyone, and couldn't help laughing. What are you doing? Shock, applaud. Isn't it scary enough? Applaud, everyone get up and applaud. Nangongke, you don't need to applaud, you don't have hands. Yes, Nangongke, this dog leg, has retained his legs, but has lost an arm. Rather than applauding, there was more shock. Zhang Zizai was joking about this, but tens of thousands of Huangguo soldiers had dull faces at this time. Their faces were pale, and morale had long ceased to exist. In their trembling eyes, Zhang Zizai was already an absolute monster. Before the age of 18, he defeated the Huangguo Grand Marshal of the dynasty head-on. What was this concept? That was something that could not have happened in history. It was a miracle. To them, Zhang Junjian, who was in his 20s, was the most terrifying genius in the world. And now, Zhang Zizai in front of them was beyond them. Finally, the Kailan army applauded enthusiastically. Little Prince, for a moment, cheers roared, and the drums of war sounded again, completely suppressing the Huangguo army this time. Only King Qingluan, with trembling hands, helped Nangongke up. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 428. Zhang Zizai defeated Nangongke. This matter will spread throughout the dynasty within a few days. Perhaps by then, more capable people will come to Dajian County and join King Zilan. After all, the current situation seems to be that the Yanlong royal family is gradually declining, while the two brothers in Dajian County are in their prime. Especially Zhang Zizai's peerless talent, everyone knows that he is practicing in the divine section with his talent. He has obtained a high position in the divine section. How can the Yanlong emperor resist? Lose the people's hearts, and then lose everything. In a short moment, seeing Nangongke wailing on the ground, any Huangguo army will think of a lot. They are a little envious of the Kailan army and the relieved smiles on their faces now. Zhang Zizai, you dare to severely injure the imperial marshal. You are rebelling. King Qingluan helped up the pale-faced Nangongke, and said angrily and tremblingly. Zhang Zizai laughed dumbly and said, "Old man, please stop telling jokes. I am just a teenager. It is embarrassing enough that Nangongke was defeated by me. You still want to use this as an excuse to convict me. Don't you think Longyan is not embarrassing enough? The Huangguo army can't afford to lose this man. Therefore, not many people are as indignant as King Qingluan." Nangongke endured the pain and looked at Zhang Zizai fiercely. Don't be happy too early. The good days of Dajian County will be over in a few days. Oh, it means that the old turtle Yanlong Huang finally couldn't help but want to take action, right? Zhang Zizai laughed. How dare you insult His Majesty, Nangongke said angrily. What's an insult? He is a dog. Zhang Zizai smiled. Tens of thousands of Huangguo soldiers were all made to lose their temper by his words. Zhang Zizai is different from Zhang Junjian. Zhang Junjian speaks formally, seriously, and without any leaks, but his brother's words are lawless. At this time, Zhang Zizai suddenly looked to the north. There was still thick fog on the opposite side of Luanjiang River. Zhang Zizai shouted at that side, "Old turtle, I'm talking to you. Why are you still hiding on the opposite side? Come over quickly. And your lackeys, don't hide anymore." When Zhang Zizai finished speaking, everyone except Nangongke and Qingluan Wang was stunned. It seemed that the Flame Dragon Emperor was present today. Zhang Junjian narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect it. It seems that today is not the day of the return of the holy day God servant. They have already set up a net to take my life, Zhang Junjian said. This beast is a vengeful person. Don't expect him to be patient for long, Lu Yuan sneered. Under Zhang Zizai's loud voice, a figure flashed on the opposite side. Suddenly, more than a dozen people appeared in front of Nangongke. Prince Yang, Prime Minister Xiang Liuqiu, Prime Minister Lu Zheng, Minister of the State Protection Palace, Imperial Censor, State Guardian, Leopard Duke, Zhang of the Black Kirin clan of the 10,000 Beasts Palace, and Tianpeng King, the chief of the Tianpeng clan, all appeared. Of course, the most eye-catching person was the middle-aged man in the dragon robe in the middle. He had a gloomy face and a violent look. He appeared in front of Nangongke, with his hands behind his back, staring at Zhang Zizai at this time. Long Yin, you really think highly of me? You have sent so many people today, which is more than enough to deal with me. Zhang Zhenjian smiled coldly. Beside him, Xinjiao Divine Servant and Yuan Divine Servant appeared on the left and right. They have been protecting Zhang Zhenjian all the time. Shut up, you little brat, dare to call your majesty's name directly. Xiang Liuqiu was white-haired and majestic. Come on, in our eyes, this guy who killed 100,000 people with his own hands is not an emperor. Zhang Zizai rolled his eyes. He was already standing next to Zhang Zhenjian. The two brothers were really cut from the same mold. Zhang Zhenjian is more serious and upright, and he is more trustworthy in heaven, while Zhang Zizai is unrestrained and free. The Flame Dragon Emperor narrowed his eyes and looked at the brothers. You Zhang Zizai have returned after cultivation, and it seems that the Holy Sun God Servant has also arrived, the Flame Dragon Emperor said. Ling Qingtian appeared and said, of course you have to come back, otherwise, you can easily succeed by planning to kill Zhang Zhenjian yourself. The Flame Dragon Emperor smiled coldly and said, the Holy Sun God Servant is embarrassing me. Today, I just want to discuss the ownership of the Qiluan gold mine with Zhang Zhenjian. But unexpectedly, Zhang Zizai is so arrogant that he cut off an arm of an important official of the dynasty. So, what do you want to do next? Zhang Zizai asked. The Flame Dragon Emperor said, you, Zhang Zizai, have a natural talent that defies heaven. You have already returned after cultivation. I am afraid that I am no match for you. However, even so, I will seek justice for my loyal ministers. Today, you have to leave one arm here. Don't be modest. I can only bully Nangongke. You are the strongest man in the world. It is not easy for you to take me down. At present, it sounds like your reason for wanting my arm is indeed justified, but do you think I, Zhang Zizai, will be a lamb to be slaughtered? He couldn't help laughing. The Flame Dragon Emperor frowned slightly. If he didn't retaliate today and let Zhang Zizai leave safely, he would be even more embarrassed. Seeking justice for loyal ministers is indeed justified. But what trump card does Zhang Zizai have? Are you sure you want my arm? Zhang Zizai asked again. The Flame Dragon Emperor took a step forward, and he was afraid that he would personally attack Zhang Zizai. At this moment, Zhang Zizai shouted, Father-in-law, it's this grandson who wants to cut off your son-in-law's arm. Feng Xiaoao was about to make a handsome appearance, but he was so scared by his name that he almost fell to the ground. This kid, teasing my daughter again, I'll kill you like this later, he thought with hatred in his heart, but he was still very cool, appearing next to Zhang Zizai, saying, who dares to say such a thing? Do you think my Shenzong is a decoration? If you want his arm, hand it over first. He appeared lightly, ethereal, and just as soon as he appeared, he scared all of Yanlonghuang and others back several steps. Yanlonghuang's strength is equivalent to the top divine servant in Shenzong, stronger than Ling Qingtian. However, Feng Xiaoao was also a son of God, and his strength is considered top among the holy divine servants. When Yanlonghuang asked him to target him, he was only panicked. Your Excellency is a big shot in Shenzong. The thing that Yanlonghuang was most worried about still happened. Zhang Zizai is talented, and in a place like Shenzong, he will definitely get the top protection. He thought that Zhang Zizai would sink in Shenzong, and never thought that he could defeat Nangongke when he came back this time. At that time, he already had a bad premonition. He was about to destroy him, but he didn't expect that his protector had come directly. And he even called him father-in-law. When Feng Xiaoxiao appeared just now, he had seen her. She was a stunning woman who looked very similar to the peerless master in front of him. She even had a baby in her arms. This meant that Zhang Zizai had married the daughter of this peerless master and had a child. Their relationship was frighteningly stable. And at this moment, the peerless master had already bullied him. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 429. If you want the Flame Dragon Emperor not to harass the Great Zhang County, you must be ruthless. Killing him directly is definitely not an option, after all, he is involved with the Tianlong dynasty. And once the Flame Dragon Emperor dies, the entire dynasty will still fall into chaos. But punishing him and letting him hide in the Flame Dragon ruins in the future is still okay. Feng Xiaoao was not polite to him, and he suppressed the Flame Dragon Emperor directly as soon as he started. Their realms are all above the Divine Seal realm, which is a realm called the Heavenly Source realm. Zhang Zizai doesn't know much about the details of the Heavenly Source realm, but he knows that Feng Xiaoao's attainments in the Heavenly Source realm are much stronger than the Flame Dragon Emperor. His body is like a gust of wind. Under his control, the majestic storm swept, and he himself kept flashing, with a speed comparable to the teleportation of a bell. The Flame Dragon Emperor didn't even have the chance to speak, and could only fight back. His Emperor Holy Dragon Totem was at the same level as Feng Xiaoao. However, the gap in realm was too huge. Feng Xiaoao gathered thousands of wind blades in his hands and swept away. Ding ding ding. The Flame Dragon Emperor couldn't stop it at all. Ah, he screamed, and one of his arms flew out and was instantly annihilated. It was impossible to take it back. Your Majesty, the ministers wanted to rescue him, but they were blown away by Feng Xiaoao. Listen, from now on, if your people step across this river again, I will not only cut off one of your arms. I will destroy the entire Flame Dragon ruins for you, Feng Xiaoao said domineeringly. The Flame Dragon Emperor cried out in pain, his face pale, and was swept away and fell on the other side of the Luan River. Pa pa pa. Xiang Liuqiu and others fell beside him one by one, dizzy and dazed. They climbed up, their faces pale, and when they saw that the Flame Dragon Emperor was a little unstable, they panicked even more. 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west. This dynasty is not just yours to have the right to speak, so get out of here in the future. Zhang Zizai recalled the years when he was once in control. Until now, he still wants to show off his power, which is really ridiculous. Across the Luan River, Emperor Yanlong took a deep breath, looked at Feng Xiaoao and said, "You are indeed a member of the divine section. You are amazing. I have seen it. Your Majesty. Let's go." Emperor Yanlong could only turn around and leave in a panic. After this time, Dajiang County will definitely not be able to come again. After the news spreads, he will only become a laughing stock. Dajiang County with Zhang Zizai will definitely be more prestigious, and there are many wavering people who will definitely make up their minds to join King Zilan. Zhang Zizai, who can defeat Nangongke, has a person who can crush Emperor Yanlong behind him. What is there to hesitate about? Some people even say, it's time to change the dynasty. The tens of thousands of Huangguo soldiers were shocked by the peerless strong man's wave of his sleeves and were directly rolled to the opposite side of Luanjiang River. Including King Qingluan, they all fell to the ground. The Kailan soldiers laughed loudly. The Huangguo soldiers fled in a panic, and no one cared about Nangongke. After they leave, they will definitely exaggerate. This time, they are scared, and the Great Zhang County can be peaceful for a long time. Thank you, Zhang Zizai said to Feng Xiaoao. I'll give you some face first, and I'll settle with you later. Feng Xiaoyao rolled his eyes. At this time, Lu Dingxing, Ruo Xiaoyu, and others have come out. Lu Yuan was very happy to see his son. Reunion after a long separation is a great joy in life. Brother. Good guy. The brothers hugged each other, and Zhang Junjian patted his shoulder and said, "It's amazing." His eyes turned to Feng Xiaoyao and said, "Why don't you introduce me quickly?" Zhang Zizai laughed and said, "This is Feng Xiaoyao. After going to Shenzong, I became his disciple. He is the Holy Spirit servant of Shenzong, and his position is higher than Uncle Ling." "Then what?" Zhang Junjian asked. "Nothing happened, then I dumped him and rode on his head." Zhang Zizai laughed. "Didn't you just shout?" Zhang Junjian looked at Feng Xiaoxiao. Although he knew that Zhang Zizai had been in a life and death struggle with Juxian before, he was still a little confused about it now. "Just a joke, haha." Zhang Zizai laughed awkwardly. He introduced Feng Xiaoxiao again and said, "She is his daughter. She admires me very much and keeps pestering me." "Shut up." Zhang Junjian patted his head and said to Feng Xiaoxiao, "Don't mind it, girl. This kid just doesn't speak seriously. I apologize to you on his behalf for being abrupt." "It's okay, I'm used to it." Feng Xiaoxiao smiled slightly and glared at Zhang Zizai. "Who is this child?" Zhang Junjian looked at the baby in Feng Xiaoxiao's arms. The feeling between his eyebrows showed that it was Zhang Zizai's child. "Your eldest niece." "Surprise. I almost overtook your car on the curve," Zhang Zizai said. "My niece? You all have children?" Zhang Junjian was amazed. No wonder Zhang Zizai spoke so abruptly, but this girl was not angry. "It's not mine." Unexpectedly, Feng Xiaoxiao was a little unhappy at this time. She handed the bell back to Zhang Zizai and said angrily, "Hold it yourself, so as not to be misunderstood." Zhang Junjian was a little confused, feeling that there was a story behind this. "What's going on?" he teased the sleeping bell and asked Zhang Zizai. "Let's talk about it when we get back." "Where are my sister and sister-in-law?" Zhang Zizai asked. "Come with me to Deluo City." "Let's go back to Deluo City first." The Kailan army stayed here, and Lu Dingxing came forward and said, "Boss, my father will stay here to mine the Qiluan gold mine, so I will stay here first." The father and son finally reunited, and Zhang Zizai left him here, and the others returned to Deluan City together. Feng Xiaoyao and the others sent the people there, but they were not in a hurry to leave. Zhang Zizai also wanted to take them to see the customs of Dajiangqing City. Ling Qingtian also exchanged the results of the expansion of the sacrifice temple with the two gods. "Zhang Zizai, where is Juxian?" Xinjiao god servant stared at him and asked. "Ji Mao, I will tell you later." Deluan City was 30 miles away in a while. Seeing Zhang Junjian's triumphant return, the extremely worried Dong Yangjing and Zhang Yuning had been waiting at the city gate for a long time. They never expected that Zhang Zizai would be there to welcome them back. "Sister. Xiaoyu." The two sisters hugged each other and cried bitterly as if they hadn't seen each other for hundreds of years. Zhang Zizai looked and saw Dong Yangjing was also holding a child. "Last time I heard she was pregnant, it was estimated that she had given birth for 3 or 4 months now." "Boy or girl?" Zhang Zizai asked. "Boy. 3 months old. He is much bigger than Lingling, a big fat boy." Mother would wake up with laughter in her dreams. "Someone has given him a child." Zhang Zizai said that he really missed Ruohua. "Now we have grandsons and granddaughters, but I don't know where mother went." "By the way, who is Lingling's mother?" Zhang Yuning asked with great joy when she saw the two babies. Everyone looked at Zhang Zizai in unison. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 430. After entering Deluo City, Zhang Zizai finally explained it clearly. The original matter was too confusing, so in order to avoid them worrying, Zhang Zizai still picked out the details. After all, they didn't know about the divine curse master. Anyway, let them know that he had left the divine sect, and Juxian became very strong, and left in the same way as Zhang Zizai's parents, leaving behind a bell. I knew that your lawless character would offend people when you arrived at the divine section in the end. You even offended the sect master. Zhang Junjian shook his head, a little worried. Brother, it's okay, no one can touch me. I haven't been home for a long time. Senior Feng, thank you so much, he offended the sect master, and you were able to escort him back. Zhang Junjian said solemnly. You don't have to worry about him, he is very capable. However, it would be great if you could respect your elders. 1/10 of your ability, Feng Xiaoao complained. Even Feng Xiaoao said not to worry, so he felt relieved. Senior Feng has already defeated the Flame Dragon King. Deluan City is safe. We are setting off to return to Daejiang King City. Senior Feng has come all the way here. Please allow me to welcome you. Haha, what kind of wine do you have? Feng Xiaoxiao glared at Feng Xiaoao as soon as he mentioned the word wine. He quickly changed his words and said, well, delicious food, just bring it up. Senior Feng is a straightforward person, so I won't be polite. Feng Xiaoao helped a lot, and Zhang Junjian must do his best to entertain him. Zhang Zizai didn't bother to care. Now that he was back home, Lingdang had a group of aunts and uncles vying to take care of her. He would laugh out loud in his dreams. Lingdang is so pretty, why is Yi so fat? Even Dong Yangjing herself complained. In comparison, she still thought the girl was pretty. She is so young, and her mother is not around. How pitiful! Zhang Yuning was full of maternal love and didn't let go even when she was holding her. They all started to return to Daejiang King City. On the way, Lingling was fine, and a group of aunts and uncles who doted on her experienced her terrible voice. She's hungry, she needs to be fed, shall I do it? Dong Yangjing asked Zhang Junjian a little embarrassedly. Zhang Junjian looked around and could only say, then you do it? After all, his son Zhang Yi has not been weaned yet. Don't do it, Ruo Xiaoyu hurriedly stopped her and said, sister-in-law, Lingling is very hungry, very scary. How much can such a small baby eat? Dong Yangjing smiled confidently. You will experience it later. Ruo Xiaoyu said mysteriously. They passed by the dairy farm again in the midst of Lingling's deafening cry. After nearly 2 hours, the cows were in full condition again. Then, let this little witch sweep over, dozens of cows screamed, and finally all fell to the ground to rest. Dong Yangjing was so scared that she shrank back. Lingling had already set her sights on her. After all, she was the first person Lingling met who was breastfeeding. Hold her down. Zhang Zizai was dizzy, and he and Feng Xiaoxiao worked together to control her and hypnotize her. When Lingdang fell asleep, everyone was sweating. Zhang Junjian shivered, gave Zhang Zizai a thumbs up, and said, awesome. It was amazing to have such a daughter. He was convinced anyway. Not long after, they arrived at Daejiang Wangcheng, and Zhang Junjian directly ordered, buy all the dairy cows from farmers in Daejiang Wangcheng, and build a dairy farm behind the palace. Lingdang was still dreaming, and she actually smiled. Everyone was horrified. This little guy, can he understand what everyone said when he fell asleep? Dong Yangjing looked at her son in her arms, and felt like crying but had no tears. She felt that when he grew up, he would be bullied by his sister. Back in Daejiang Wangcheng, he finally settled down. With Zhang Yuning, the eldest aunt, Zhang Zizai basically didn't see Lingdang, and just let them take her out to play. Zhang Junjian prepared a lot of local specialties to entertain Feng Xiaoao. Feng Xiaoao couldn't drink, so he could only taste delicious food every day. The third day, Feng Xiaoxiao stood at the door. She looked at Zhang Zizai with complicated eyes and said, my father said that we should leave. Won't you stay a little longer? Zhang Zizai was still a little reluctant to let her go. Forget it, you already have a child, I don't want to interfere, and besides, you don't like me. She was very straightforward. But when she said it, tears flowed down a little bit. Who said that I can't marry a concubine when I have a wife and children? Zhang Zizai walked up and gently wiped her tears. Go to your father, always so improper. I don't want to be a concubine. She pushed Zhang Zizai's hand away, wiped away her tears, and tried to smile. Awesome, you want to be the main wife directly. Zhang Zizai smiled. I don't like you anymore, bitch. Keep your pure body. I want to see what you will become if you don't become a god for decades, can't see her, and can't touch a woman for decades. She remembered this incident and couldn't help laughing. Ah, Zhang Zizai was also depressed. Juxian had already led him to this path, and he hadn't thought that he might have to be a monk for so long. Depressed? No, you must save me from the water and fire. Go away. I don't want to pay attention to you. After returning to the divine sect, I will practice well. I am also a person with a cosmic totem. I must surpass you. When the time comes, I will humiliate you again. She remembered her future wishes and burst into laughter. From the battlefield of Wushan to today, in fact, she really likes it. Physical humiliation, Zhang Zizai said with a smirk. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Feng Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes at him and then fell silent. You must take care of yourself. She lowered her head and her voice was choked again. You too, you must eat more and let this place develop well. Zhang Zizai's eyes fell on her raised chest. Feng Xiaoxiao took a deep breath, then reached out and pinched Zhang Zizai's neck. I want to die with you. Ah! It almost drove him crazy. From beginning to end, there was no serious words. After pinching her, Zhang Zizai suddenly reached out and hugged her. I'm sorry, I have no choice. It's hard to like another person. So, I don't know how to face you, he said with a trembling voice. Feng Xiaoxiao pursed her lips, loosened her hand that was pinching his neck, and put it on his shoulder. I understand, so I won't force you. But if you can't become a god, can you live with me in this life? Tears slid down her eyes, and she asked this question very seriously. No, if you can't become a god, Lingdang will die, and she inherited her reincarnation calamity. Zhang Zizai gritted his teeth and said. Okay, Lingdang can't die. Feng Xiaoxiao got the answer. He didn't refuse, but he really had no way out. Hug for a long time. Zhang Zizai's hand gently rested on her waist. No matter where you go in the future, give me a message, I can see you when I miss you, she said softly. After all, he couldn't go to the divine sect. No problem. He stared into her eyes. If you can have someone you like, you don't have to waste time on me. No, she said. Okay, this is your freedom, Zhang Zizai said. Feng Xiaoxiao tiptoed slightly, kissed him on the cheek, and then turned and left gently. Not far away, Feng Xiaoao stood there with his hands behind his back. I was smart. I knew you must be watching nearby, so I didn't take your daughter to bed today. Zhang Zizai suddenly laughed. Feng Xiaoxiao took 2 steps and almost fell to the ground. Zhang Zizai, you stinky bastard, just be a monk. Feng Xiaoxiao didn't look back. After cursing, he walked away quickly. Until her figure disappeared from sight. Helpless. Zhang Zizai lowered his head and looked at his crotch. This little brother was pitiful. He was at the age of blood and vigor. He could only eat vegetarian food in the future.